get the money, go get it. Go get the money, go get it. Go get the money, go get it. Go get the money, go get it. All I know is get a bag. All I know is get a bag. All I know is get a bag. Niggas mad hating on where you can. Go get the money, go get it. 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 All I know is get a bag. All I know is get a bag. All I know is get a bag.
It's Yours Radio Live, Live 97.5, everything urban. Donnie O, J Mo.
Man, we got now. I don't care who got next. Who we got, Donnie O? Straight up.
My man. Hey, listen, give some shout outs right here, because it seems like we got a lot of people checking in already.
They jumping off, bro. They jumping off down Texas. Miss Nikki Williams down Texas. Let me see what we got on here. Miss Mona in Groove City. Rich White out there. Miss Barbara Dickinson in Groove City. Eric OG in the Hilltop over there rocking with us. Miss Faye Carson rocking with us. Tracks Music. Corralo Bucks. James Pinkett. Big Scales rocking with us. Boy, Miss Lynette. Good God, we jumping, bro.
I see.
We jumping already on the live.
My man. Let me check, man. Let me see. We got Smarty Artie, man, down in VA. You know what I'm saying? Got Missy Nichols up in and got my man So Cheney. Steve, what's good down in North Carolina? You know what I'm saying? Jason Ross and Big J, what's good, baby? Got my man, the brother minister, Miller. He's out in San Antonio. Faye Carson checking in. And we got my man Dwayne Cephas, Bones, up in Baltimore. So, yeah, we rocking, baby. So that's what it is, man. Again, we got a very serious show. Of course, you know, we always deal with music, obviously. This is a music station, you know what I mean? But, you know, we're feeling with this platform, we need to take advantage of the platform and deal with some things that a lot of times, you know, we don't like to talk about. You know, kind of taboo. You know what I mean, J-Mo?
Show enough, bro.
So we're going to deal with a couple of issues, and they kind of coincide together. What's crazy, you know what I'm saying, mine hit me, it's been about a month ago? Maybe a little longer than that, right?
Yeah, about a month. Probably a good 3 weeks a month.
Yeah, and, you know, he just wanted to talk about mental illness, you know, in the black community in particular. He had a situation. It's a situation that he's known of, and he's close to that situation, and he wanted to bring it to light. Well, I said, yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? That'd be dope, because that's something that needs to be talked about. So, and then Dre hit me. You know what I'm saying? Mondre, Terrell, big shout in the back, chilling. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Wanda's doing Wanda Morton Palmer. She's doing the Protect Our Girls campaign. You know what I mean? And she's rocking it. Hold on. Yeah, apparel. Yeah. Had to show the apparel. Had to show it's real good. You know what I mean? But yeah. So and that's something that kind of ties in with the mental illness. You know what I mean? So I was gonna have Mont and Wanda on separately, but Wanda's like, come on, let's do it together. You know what I mean? Which makes sense. I thought about that, but I wanted to give everybody, you know, each person, and you know, an equal opportunity to discuss the topics. But we're gonna do that and still in time all together. So Wanda, we'll start with you and. Just talk about the Protect Our Girls campaign, exactly what it is that you're doing.
Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was a victim of child sexual abuse. I was a victim of child sexual abuse, and it probably started at the age of 8. I was silent. I didn't say anything about it to anybody until here recently. The first person that ever touched me just happened to be my father. As I was telling somebody, I remember it vividly. He actually pulled me over to him and he said, when you're older, are you going to allow me to touch your parts? And I didn't know anything was wrong with that, because that's my father. I love him. And to the listeners right now, they're probably going to hear this and say she's lying. But I'm at a point in my life that I don't care what the listener may think. This is my truth. And it's time for me to tell that so others can come forth with theirs. So by him telling me that, I started to build a tainted view of what male and female relationships would be. I started to accept things as I got older. It started messing with my mental, which is why I'm glad this brother is here as well. But I just noticed that as I continued to get older, I had trouble with relationships. I was always passionate about children. I would always, get uncomfortable when I would see kids sitting on people's laps. I didn't really know where that was coming from, but I realize now that it was coming from a place far within, because I was hiding everything that happened to me. I was hiding the fact that my father said these things to me. I was hiding the fact that my uncle touched me, and my aunt's boyfriend tried to touch me. And you just get into a spot where it's acceptable. I started accepting it, and evidently this is exactly what women are supposed to be treated like.
So,
my adolescent years, the point in time where the brain is starting to develop, between 10 and 19, this is when I started thinking this way. So between 19 and 25, I said, hey, there has to be a better way. And that's when I started changing. The campaign came about on the real when my daughter, about 6 years ago, was sexually assaulted by my cousin, my first cousin. And I tell you, it hurt me to my heart. And sorry about that. And it just, it made me definitely want to do a little more. And I never want any mother to have to hear what I heard her say to me, which was, you should have known. That broke me down, because I didn't know. If I had known, I would have never had her in that situation. I would have never, hindsight, I would have done so much differently. But now, this campaign is to make sure that no other child will have to go through that. No other parent will have to deal with that. I want to prevent it. I want to bring awareness to it, because it's happening far more than we realize. 1 in 4 girls are sexually abused by the time they're 18, and 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted before they're 18. It happens much more in the black community, but it's not reported. So that's not on the books. You're not going to see that in statistics. And I know it's not on the books because I was one of those people. I didn't tell. When it was time for me to speak about it, I had a family member that basically said, hey, keep this to yourself. This isn't for everybody. But that's a lie. It is for everybody. It's for me as a parent, because I'm obligated to do that. It's for my daughter, because she now has a daughter. It's for my grandchildren, my grandson, because I'll be darned if anybody is going to touch any of them. And we as parents, we as community leaders, we need to do so much more to ensure that these things aren't happening.
Just going back, again, my heart goes out to you, and for what happened, and then for you to have the courage to step out and open yourself up. And you mentioned earlier, some people are not going to believe it, or they're going to see you lying or whatever. To heck with them. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And for those who, I think a lot of girls and boys who are sexually abused, particularly girls who we're speaking of now, they don't come out because of that.
Right.
They're not going to believe them. And like you mentioned, it's your father. So going back to that, what was your relationship with your father at that time?
At that time, that was my king. That was my father.
So you all had a good relationship?
But I was only like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. And then I lost all contact with my father until probably 30-some years later. Mm-hmm. And when I did rekindle that relationship, he died 6 months later. Mm. So he was really sick. It was never the right time to even confront something like that. I stepped in as daughter mode, because that's still my father. Yeah. I love my father. I loved him then when he said it. I love him now that he's gone. But when we buried him and I walked away, that's when my healing began.
Blackout for sure. It's Yours Radio Live 97.5. Everything Urban, Donnie O, J Mo, and of course we have today with us Wanda Morton Palmer and Lamont Watson. Protect Our Girls campaign. Wanda's doing a great, incredible thing. And again, speak on how can the listeners partake in that and assist in what you're doing.
Well, right now I am doing daily posts, and hopefully the best thing that we can do right now is hope that they are spreading and sharing and liking the information that I have that I'm making available to them on a daily basis. As I learn information and as I study, I put it out there. And not everybody is going to take the bait, but hopefully they're sharing it, and someone who really needs to hear it, it really gets to them. So I do have a Facebook page. I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram. And the way that we can be found is just by typing in Protect Our Girls at Protect Our Girls Campaign on Facebook. And on Twitter, it's Protect Our Girls at POGC, or it's just POG Campaign for Twitter. And then on Instagram, you can just search under Protect Our Girls.
All right, great. Let's talk about, we started to talk about it earlier, just kind of dabbed into it a little bit, but let's delve a little deeper into the importance of having an open line of communication with our kids and with our spouses as well, for those that it applies to.
Well, I don't have a spouse, but
yeah, that's why I said for those that it applies to. So as far as the kids,
as far as the kids are concerned, we should always have an open line of communication. They should always feel comfortable enough to come and tell us anything, even if it hurts, even if they think that you're going to be angry about it. I have always told my children from birth that they can talk to me about absolutely anything. So I can tell you that even though you have these conversations with them, we hope that they're going to come and tell us. We hope that they feel like they can come and tell us anything, but my child didn't.
And you know what? And it's funny you say that. And a lot of kids don't. You know, you say you plant that seed, try to keep it open, but you know, once they become teens, you know, they get stubborn. They get into their little ways, you know, and if you say something they don't like, you know, they may shut down. So it starts early. And of course, we're not going to reach everybody, everyone, every kid, you know. I don't care what you teach them, what you say to them, you talk to them till you're blue in the face. They're going to do what they're going to do, how they want to do it. That's just the way it is. But I think if we could do it more, you know, we talked about earlier about, you know, putting the phone down and not being on Facebook and everybody at the dinner table with their faces in their phone and the fork in one hand, the phone in the other. You know, having that dialogue, you know, and just asking how's your day? How'd your day go? How was school today? You know, and you never know. That in itself might open up something that we don't know what's going on in the school.
And one thing I wanted to add as well, whether you're having that communication with them, that constant open communication or not, we should know our children enough to recognize the signs of anything that's changing in their character and their personalities. With me, I had a happy-go-lucky child. I started noticing that she wasn't smiling as much. She wasn't taking her schoolwork as seriously as she had always done in the past, and she started not really talking back because she wasn't a disrespectful child, but just being real aggressive, real forceful when she would answer questions. And she just started to be a recluse, just started, you know, going into her room and things like that. So, snoop, parents. Don't be afraid to go and rumble into your parents, your children's things.
Say that again.
They're in your house. You need to make sure you know what's going on in the house. I'm a snooper. Mm-hmm. I went in there in her room and I started finding little writings that she would have, a journal, letters, things like that. I found a letter from the person that did it, and he was basically controlling her. And knowing my child and the type of child she is, all it would really take is for someone to say, I'm going to tell your mother, or your mother is going to be upset with you, or, you know, they hold little things, whatever they deem important enough and could get into the child's psyche, that's what they're going to use as a tool to keep them from telling their secret.
So some of this was in the letter that you
yes,
discovered?
the things I found in the letter, yes.
Wow.
In the letter and her journals and all that stuff, it made me. That's how I found out.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
this
how
was
I found out.
A cousin?
And this was a cousin.
Wow. And then, that's, we talked about that earlier before you guys came, is like the majority of the abuse that are received by these kids are from family members.
Between the 10 and 14, or actually lower than that, between the 4 and 16 demographic, it's done by someone they know or a family member.
Oh, wow. I'm not quite sure. But at the same time, in your situation where you've dealt with that, I'm sure that's tough for you, having trust of others.
I trust no one now. I trust nobody with my grandchildren. I don't even trust, my children are grown, and I don't trust people around my children. And they're grown. I know they have to live their own lives, but and I know you can't just live in a bubble. But once you're exposed to something like that, everybody could be the villain. And I don't like to say it that way, because you don't want people to just go around in fear, but you really have to be mindful of the people that your children are around. And even though it seems normal when they are with these people, you have to watch their faces when they walk in a room. If the eyes are shifting, if they try to, not engage in much conversation, if they try to go to another room, if you're eating dinner and they say, okay, well, can I be excused? Which could sometimes be a normal thing. However, that coupled with a lot of the other signs could mean that something is going on. It's time for you to have a conversation with your child. And when you have that conversation, they may not be truthful out of fear, out of embarrassment, out of disappointment, out of, okay, what if they don't believe me? And in these situations, family members take sides. I don't speak to family members to this day because of that. I don't feel comfortable around my family because of that.
So you're saying family members didn't believe you?
I'm saying I was my child's only support between myself and her siblings. I almost said a word, I'm sorry. But really, at the end of the day, I could care less whether they believe me. Because that's my child. I know her character. I know everything that she went through. I've read it. Had she not read it, I wrote it, and me had the opportunity to actually look at those things and to be in the room when she was talking to the detectives, then maybe that would have been something that was overseen. I would have overlooked that. But because, again, I love my children, they know I love that I know that they love me. And because of that, when I looked in her eyes and I saw her face and I could hear her voice, it was no doubt in my mind she was telling the truth. No doubt.
Sunday, fun day, turn your radios up. Donnie-O, J-Mo, are you ready or what? 97.5, it's yours radio live. From 4 to 7, you can chill before it's back to your job. You decide on your Sunday moves so you can cool out and groove out to Sunday school. If you coming from the sand, stuck in OC traffic, Ill Kid, the mixtape boss with OG classics. Anything from BDP to DOC, and of course taking the sports break with POV. You get the news, it's real, don't ever get it confused. If the word is in the street, we'll definitely bring it to you. Get in tune, Mr. Whitlock, Sheriff Dave Clark. They both blind, that's the reason why they stay lost. We for the people, that's the reason why we stay truest. Look at the coons, always trying to dance their way through it. If you got bars and send them in, just make sure it's clean and ill or give it a spin. If it's hot, then it's here. If not, it's gotta go. Hip hop and neo soul, J-Mo and Donnie-O, let's go.